Hey guys, I wanted to make a roundup video about all the Android news we've been hearing lately. So that's going to include stuff like Android KitKat and the possible new Nexus 5. So we'll start off with Android KitKat. This was originally named Android Keyline Pi, and we weren't just making the name Keyline Pi up. That was seen in documents, it was seen in leaked builds. Keyline Pi was the actual name for this new Android version, but last minute it seems Google seems to change it to Android KitKat. As you can see right here, it is official. You can see it's www.android.com/KitKat. So this is real, this is happening, and it's a big deal. It's the first time Android has kind of coupled up with a company and branded the Android version with a real brand. For example, Nestle's KitKat. Normally it's just been a generic kind of dessert name, and you can see that here. If I scroll down, you can see the life of Android. Android 1.4, you can see is cupcake, donut, eclair, froyo, gingerbread, honeycomb, ice cream sandwich. These are all desserts, these are all generic names. Now you get right to the bottom for this newest release, Android KitKat, Android 4.4 KitKat, and it's the first time it's been properly branded. Now another thing you'll notice is it is officially named Android 4.4. A lot of people thought this was going to be Android 5.0, and I know a lot of people that are disappointed that it's not Android 5.0. That's too early to get disappointed yet, because, you know, just because it's a point release and it's not 5.0 doesn't mean it's not going to be a big update. So if we scroll up here, you can see that we've obviously got Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. If we scroll up higher, we've got Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. Now, Ice Cream Sandwich to Jelly Bean was a big update. We had like Project Butter, everything was smoother, faster, better animations. It was just a much more solid build than Ice Cream Sandwich. And if we look at the Android version, it only went from Android 4.0 to 4.1. So that was a point release, but it was still a big release. So there's no telling what Android 4.4 is going to be. It could still be a pretty huge release. So we'll have to wait and see. If we scroll back down here, you can also see this sentence. And this has been playing on my mind a little bit. It's our goal with Android KitKat to make an amazing Android experience available for everybody. Now, I don't really know what that means, and I'm trying to figure it out. Now, what I do know is we've got stuff like Google Glass. We've obviously got Android phones, Android tablets, and we've also got smartwatches coming as well. So maybe Android 4.4 KitKat is going to be kind of for all of those devices. Maybe it'll just work across all of them kind of simultaneously, and you don't have to do much to code it for different use or something like that. I don't know. Who knows what this really means? Maybe just Google is trolling us. Maybe it means nothing. I don't know. But that's all we pretty much know about Android 4.4 so far. We haven't seen any leaked builds or anything like that. It's going to be called Android 4.4 KitKat. That's pretty much all we know. It probably is going to be released on the next Nexus device, which will either be the Nexus 10 second gen or the Nexus 5. Now, they also released a video with this, and this kind of moves us on to the Nexus 5 leaks. And in that video, you can see the screenshot here. You can see this guy holding this Nexus device. That clearly says Nexus right there. But it's not a Nexus device we know, and this is what caused everyone to go nuts, thinking this may be the Nexus 5. It may well be. You can see this lady here holding what seems to be the Nexus 4. This device looks bigger than that. And Google actually took this video down afterwards. We're just lucky to have screenshots here, so maybe they kind of didn't realize, I don't know, or maybe just Google is doing this so that they can get the word out and make us all excited. I don't know. But this is kind of strange. It looks like it's made by LG. You can't really see it in this screenshot, but there is a better shot where you can actually see the branding. It says LG. And what's interesting is the Nexus branding is also in landscape, which is very similar to what we saw on the Nexus 7. Which is fine for the Nexus 7 because you kind of use it in landscape more, but on a device you'd expect it to be in portrait like the Nexus branding on the Nexus 4, but who knows. You can also see the camera looks pretty huge as well. This could well be the Nexus 5. Now that's all we had until about yesterday, when this mysterious device went through the FCC filings, and that kind of brought it all back up again. So you can see here some images. And this really does look like the Nexus 4. The reason being, it's made by LG. It has all the stuff that the Nexus 5 you would expect it to have. For example, the wireless charging. It has the NFC. It doesn't have a micro SD card slot, which we haven't seen on Nexus devices for God knows how long. And if we scroll down some more, we can also see some interesting stuff. And what I want to mention first is this device looks pretty huge, right? It looks bigger than the Nexus 4. Now, this could just be camera trickery, but it does look bigger. So that was kind of interesting. People were worried that it was going to be huge. It does actually look like a mini Nexus 7 if you look at it kind of carefully. But, so, yeah, everyone thought it was going to be bigger, but it comes through on this FCC filing that the dimensions are 131.9 times 68.2. If we look at the Nexus 4 specification here, you can see it's 133.9 and 68.7. So this new device is not quite as long, and it's narrower than the Nexus 4, which isn't really what this picture suggests. So that's kind of interesting. It looks like it's going to be smaller than the Nexus 4 in terms of its kind of pure dimensions. You'll also notice that they gave us a diagonal of the screen, which comes in at 126 millimeters, which makes the screen... We can be more accurate by going over to this website. I think, yeah, here we go. You can see the diagonal is 126 millimeters, which works out at 4.96 inches diagonal. So basically a 5-inch display, which is what everyone thought it would be. And you know, the Nexus 4 is like 4.7-inch display, but it has the on-screen buttons, so it's, you know, your actual screen real estate is a little bit smaller. So this is going to probably be a 5-inch display, and with these dimensions, somehow they've managed to make it, you know, not quite as long and not quite as wide, and they've put a bigger screen in it, so it looks like we're going to have less bezel. So that's kind of interesting. If we scroll down here, there is of course other stuff that suggests this is a Nexus device. Firstly, it's compatible with a hell of a lot of bands. It's basically compatible with all the LTE bands, bar the ones that are used by Verizon. So I'm not sure what Verizon are doing. They're always such a confusing company when it comes to mobile bands and stuff like that. But this device supports a ton of different bands, and that kind of makes sense for a Nexus device because it has to go worldwide and be with all the different carriers. So that makes sense. We can also see, if we scroll down here, Engadget, you can see, caught a reference, and you can see it right here, the MSM 8974, and that actually suggests a Snapdragon 800, which obviously is a pretty high-end chip. It also comes with the next-gen Adreno 330 GPU. I would love to see this chip in there because it is very, very strong. It should power everything easily. More importantly, you'll see this AOSP, Hammerhead, and Keyline Pi with a slight typo. And again, this just shows you that Keyline Pi was actually the name of this Android 4.4 before they decided to change it. And Hammerhead, you can see right here. Now, all the Nexus devices are named after fish. This is obviously a shark. The Nexus 4 was Mako. I think the Nexus 10 was Manta. It goes down the list all the way through. I think the Nexus 7 was like tuna or something like that. Something was tuna. I just remember that much. So it looks like this is probably the next Nexus, the Nexus 5. And you can just see Keyline Pi here, just how far along it was going to be called Keyline Pi until they decided to change it to KitKat. Now, let's just go back to this website over here, and you can see basically it talks about the same thing. So that's all we know about it. It is coming. It looks like it's going to be real, and it's from LG, which even makes more sense considering Google seems to give companies 2 chances at a Nexus device, you know, so this is LG's second chance at a Nexus. So it looks like it's probably going to be it, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, that's kind of the roundup that I wanted to do, guys. Let me know what you guys think of Android KitKat. Are you excited about it? Don't you really care? And let me know what you guys think about this Nexus 5. I really want to make this a discussion video. Are you excited about the Nexus 5? Does these specs kind of make anything more interesting? Oh, and by the way, before I end this actually isn't on here, but the FCC filing actually says the battery, or the capacity of the battery, I should say, is 2,300. Now that's 200 milliamp hour larger battery than what we have in the Nexus 4. Now that isn't a significant amount, and I heard loads of people crying that it wasn't a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, but you know, who knows? Android KitKat may have some amazing battery life optimizations that may make it last 24 hours. Who knows? But nonetheless, it does have a slightly bigger battery. According to the FCC, again, this is all rumor, all conjecture. Nothing is solid here. This may not even be the Nexus 5, but it is shaping up towards it. So yeah, like I was saying before, let me know what you guys think of it. Are you excited? Let me know what you guys think. Peace out.